Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics. That's non-classic. This is episode number 1384, and actually, it's 83. Yeah, Doubleshot 1383, Doubleshot number 1277. Two Captain America trades from Rick Remender's run for the book. Yes, Rick Remender's. First up, we have the second trade to collect issues from this run. We have Castaway in Dimension Z. Yep. Yeah, this second half of this 10-part story, of course, written by Rick Remender, artwork by John Romita Jr. I gotta say, for me, it's Jr.'s artwork. Like, wow. Like, even though that he basically works on, he's a penciler and the breakdowns, it's like, it is so drastically different from how basically I'm used to seeing his artwork here. Yeah, it looks very much fleshed out here. Now, this does wrap up the storyline here with Dimension Z. I did technically review Dimension Z several years ago. Oh, yes, definitely. I reviewed this particular trade. Let's see if I can find him here. Excuse me. Oh, wow. I was just looking up on here, like, how long ago did I review the first trade, like, review volume 1? Oh my gosh. You want to know how long ago I last reviewed this particular book? I reviewed this 7 years ago in my old house. Yeah, I'm looking at the picture, folks. There's a picture back, and this is probably before I put pictures of my videos, like for thumbnails. Yeah, this basically is my old house. This is in the kitchen. So yeah, quite some time since I reviewed basically book 1, 7 years. Like, wow, that's quite something. All because of my local library getting my hands on this book, but here I am. I got this book here. Mostly put here, basically, we have a lot of build up here to Jet Black turning against her father, which she eventually does. Here in Dimension Z, and of course, Steve tries to get back Ian, who he's called Leopold by Armzola. And of course, well, Steve's basically fighting to basically overthrow Armzola in this reality of Dimension Z, which is ruled by him. He, of course, is wounded in his chest, but he's basically healing up fine. So, Jet Black. I should point out about Jet Black, she is hot. Oh my gosh, she is such a beautiful woman. How old do I think she is? I'd say, by appearance-wise, I'd say she's probably 20-ish, I'd say. They don't really say how old she is. I mean, there's at one point where she's basically taking a shower, and then Steve comes across her with a freaking gun. I thought this was really weird. Apparently they have a display case in her room where they have a face like hers. Like, Steve, you just walked in that beautiful and come out of a shower, and she's like smiling at the fact Steve's trying to hurt her. And of course, well, Ian, of course, is being brainwashed, and there's a lot of basically stuff building up toward here of, well, basically Steve trying to end this story, this whole thing with Zola. Yep, and he gets a brief fight with Jet Black, at one point punching her in the side of her gut. So, she eventually, after fighting him, and of course, well, saving a little kid, she basically turns against her father. And she plans to revolt against her father. Yep. Oh yeah, and then the end of issue number 6, he's 6 and 7, he gets shot by his own adopted son, Ian Rogers. Yep. And then we get close to the beginning of the end of this book. Basically, a lot of brawling. Steve, of course, battling, well, Armzola. But before he fights Armzola, we see Ian get shot by Sharon Carter. Yep, she pops up here. Like, how in the heck did she get Dimension Z? No idea. It's not explained. But issue 9, yeah, that starts the big brawl between, well, Armzilla versus Steve Rogers was last during the last couple issues of this book. Also, Jet Black turns against her father. There's this flying fortress, basically, who's going to invade the regular world. They stop it, of course, because, well, Sharon Carter plants explosives. And, well, with Ian apparently dead, per se, even though he's not really dead. So, basically, to stop the mutates, of course, Sharon apparently, we see a giant, like, robot version of Artem Zola in this book. Yeah. And, like, lots of big sci-fi action here. Eventually, of course, Steve and, well, Jet Black do get back to, well, regular Earth while the fortress is destroyed, but and apparently the death of Sharon. Yeah, apparent death, even though that later on, nope, that's not really true at all. And then the book ends with them basically back in New York City. And then the book ends with basically setting up the final arc of this book. Whereas you have that Ian didn't die at the hand of Sharon Carter. She actually is alive. Yep. Now I give this book roughly a... I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It was actually a pretty dang good book. Yep. Alright, moving on to Volume 3, Loose Nuke. Yes, Loose Nuke. By the way, love New Castle by Captain America. Yep. Now, John Romita Jr. is no longer writing this book. He is gone. I don't think he comes back and final story arc. I don't think so, no. This one basically is about Carlos Paccio. Yeah, he's the artist for pretty much this whole book, with the exception of issue 13 by Nick Keelan. This mostly book deals with the aftermath of the Dimension Z stuff, also featuring the return of Nuke. Yes, Nuke. Yep, Nuke. Let's see, when was the last thing he physically appeared in a comic? Excuse me. Now, in case you're curious still about Nuke himself, he's a Frank Miller character. Yeah, he's a character created by Frank Miller, who first appeared in the Born Again storyline. Yep. Like, prior to this, last appearance was in the pages of Thunderbolts. Yep. Pages of Thunderbolts. That was his last appearance to date. Was in Thunderbolts 163.1. Yeah, that was his last appearance to date, but I think it was mostly just in flashback. Yeah, but pretty much I would say his last physical appearance, Thunderbolts 145, which was the start of the Heroic Age. Yep. Mostly in like a background appearance with the character. Yeah, interesting about this character back after just 2 years. Yeah, he was only gone for 2 years. Plus, his story features guest appearances by Maria Hill, Nick Fury Jr., and the Falcon. Yep. And of course, well, Steve, of course, gets full physical. We see a flashback of his mother, Sarah Rogers. Got the president have to get full examination. Oh yeah, it's also the Super Soul Syndrome. Thanks to being his body. Yeah, apparently, despite the fact in Dimension Z he was there for 12 years, he probably was only gone for a few hours. And, well, it turns out, though, that he actually does not age. Yes, the serum prevents him from aging normally. Yep, by the way, this actually is referenced in the third story arc of Rick Remender's run for Uncanny Avengers. Yep, I mentioned all the top secret. Of course, Jet Black is getting debriefed by Nick Fury Jr., which she basically points out her many senses. And, of course, Cap's like, this is over. Come on. And, of course, takes her flying car back to his place. And, of course, Nuke shows up, basically act like freaking Nuke, shooting up stuff. And, of course, he takes us back home to his house. Apparently, he's got a ton of mentals from his battles over the years. Yeah, apparently, she just like, why don't you just let go of the past? And then he just proceeds to burn all of his stuff at the end of issue number 11. Not really sure why he did this for. Like, all this stuff built over the years, just burn it. Good, basically something Jet Black said. And pretty much he spends the next several issues, despite the fact he's dealing with Sharon Carter's apparent death, Mostly put for the storyline, there's a background plot in here, a B plot, which most sets up the very next arc of the series, Iron Nail. They made it very interesting to me with Sam's meeting up with Steve at his place, and of course he's stopped by Jet Black, who's in her underwear. I'm sure that probably Sam started thinking though, Steve, you realize you have a hot woman in your apartment and you're not in a relationship with her. Yeah. So they basically do some patrolling, and of course they found out about Nuke, and of course, well, they spend the next several issues basically battling him, of course, also having set up for Iron Nail, which is at the very end of this run. We also have flashback to basically when Nick Fury Sr. is around, and debut of Weapon Minus. Basically, this is something that's referenced in the very next door. Weapon Minus is a different program, Weapon Plus. Yeah, and apparently it's a flashback to when Winter Soldier's battling the Iron Nail, who, by the way, this character did pop up in another series of Recommender, Winter Soldier Bitter March. Yep, and here's the door for Weapons Minus, which is a shield facility. Yeah, it's a shield facility, which created Iron Nail. Jet Black, of course, gets beat up with a boxing glove, gets some steam off. And, of course, you have Cap versus Nuke for the last couple issues of this book. Yep. That's pretty much what happens here. Though it has a very shocking cliffhanger. Yep. Eventually, after a long battle with him, he is taken into custody by S.H.I.E.L.D. And, of course, well, we still have here's the debut of the Iron Nail, a character who show up in the very next story arc. Yep. So, he pretty much details his plan, what he wants to do. And, of course, well, he's brought, basically him being debriefed by a soldier who apparently he had saved her father's life years prior, which he's very grateful for. And then they chat for a while, and then something really weird happens. Like, the Iron Nail activates a device in Nuke's head, causing him to blow up. Yes, Nuke blows up. And then Dr. Mind Bubble shows up. Yep, setting up the very next story arc, which I have reviewed already. Yep, I have reviewed Iron Nail. Yes, let me look and see. How long ago was that? I mean, I actually own the trade. I did this one roughly 2 years ago. That's what happened next. And with that pretty much ages, well, Steve Rogers' natural age when his serum is shipped from his body. Yeah, this whole thing of being young, that lasts about 2 years before you get back young again. Excuse me. Oh yeah, and here's a little curious, fun little factor for you. This came out in 2013. Not long after this, apparently, get this, after this storyline wrapped up, after the issue 16 pick up right where this book left off, Nuke shows up alive despite the fact he has his head blown up by Dr. Mind, the Iron Nail. Yeah, and he pops up alive, where apparently he's head-shaped bald, he's got a pot belly, and he ends up fighting Wolverine. Yep, pops up a few more times after this, popped up recently in the pages of Weapon X for a few issues, and that's been it for the character. Yeah, he's done virtually almost nothing. I gotta say, for the first official story after Castaway Vengeance, it's really good, and it sets up the very next story, the Iron Nail, which later sets up the Tomorrow Soldier, which is the finale for this run. Yep. But I gotta say, basically, for this run, it is really good. It feels like it's a very continuous run. Oh yeah, definitely. It doesn't feel like an actual stopping. You can feel like stop points in the story arc, per se. And yeah, set for the next story arc here and there. But Recommended does a great job of this book. And next time we'll discuss basically stuff from digital stuff, it will be the end of Recommended's run and then trade from the current run for Captain America about the current writer. Yep. Oh, I give Loose Nuke a 9.5 It's a damn good book. Recommended does an absolute great job with this book. It's interesting, though, that when James Robinson was working at Marvel, he never got a chance to work at this comic. Nope. He did get a chance to write Captain America and All New Invaders. Yep. Because if you think about it, James Robinson only wrote about 6 series for Marvel's ongoing, plus 2 miniseries for Secret Wars and a one-shot. Everybody thinking, that's it? That's all he did in about 4 years? Yeah, because before Secret Wars, he did Fantastic Four and All New Invaders. And after Secret Wars, he got Scarlet Witch and Scorch Supreme. And after those two series were concluded, he got Cable and Nick Fury. And that was it. Yep. Interesting though, he never got a chance to write this character. I mean, that would have been something for him to write Captain America. I mean, imagine what he would have done with this character. Make him so. It would be interesting, but I would figure though, because he's a legacy character, because he's basically a long-time character, he might write this character, but no. The only like solo books he worked on were just Scarlet Witch, Cable, and Nick Fury. I'm like, really? That's it? That's all I could do, Robinson? Okay, fine. Oh, by the way, his one shot I worked on, Amazing Spider-Man Valley Business. Yep. So yeah, that's it for particular review. Stay tuned for tomorrow, basically because I don't have more time for videos tonight. So reviews tomorrow for Eden Zero, Black Clover, obviously. We do a lot of videos tomorrow. My Hero Academia, Case Closed, One Piece, Baruto, and I'm also hoping to review the news chapter for Blue X plus another Comic Corner. Okay, see you next video. Bye.